So firstly, as a disclaimer, I don't work for Monaxa. I'm not an employee of Monaxa, and I don't have any relation with any staff member of Monaxa. I'm just an investor slash networker like how all of you are. The only difference is I came across this brokerage a year back, well, over a year back actually, when technically nobody from MLM knew about it. And when I came across this opportunity, I I realized that this is the project that I was looking for, and I knew the potential over here, and I decided to stick with it. And here we are today. So all the views and opinions and the information that I will share today is based on my own due diligence that I have carried out, based on my experience over the past 1 year of this brokerage. And that is all I'm trying to share with you. Obviously, I do encourage still each one of you, based on the information I shared today, or feel free to do your further checks if you wish to. That's absolutely fine. Whether to do this opportunity or skip this opportunity is completely individual choices. I'm not here to convince anybody to do this opportunity. At the end of the day, any opportunity you go for, whether it's Monexa or for that matter, any other project you go for, they will always carry an element of risk. The risk in this specific opportunity is the risk in trading losses, not the risk of getting scammed. No, I'm talking about the risk in trading loss over here. So please do your own due diligence. And, if you have any doubts whatsoever, I would say take your time, a week, 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, however long you want. Feel free to be comfortable, and only then you start your journey. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about is how I came across this opportunity. Now, obviously, as I told you, first of all, to give a brief intro about myself, I'm Sohail here. I'm originally from India, but I live in UK for the last 20 years. By profession, I'm an IT consultant, and I've been doing networking for the last 4.5 years. Now, like most of you over here, even I tried different projects in crypto, MLM, and even some Forex gigs, but majority ended up failing at some point. And last year, I would say March 2023, roughly on that time, I came to a point where I said, enough is enough. I don't want all this shit anymore. And because I had tried a couple of Forex gigs before that, I kind of knew the Forex space, and I kind of was attracted to that. So I knew that there is money to be made, provided, things are done the correct way and not with any shady brokers or, some dirty deals that go behind the scenes. Now, I had some contacts in Middle East, in Dubai, and with some high net worth investors, and we talked about it, and we discussed the potential of starting our own small brokerage. So that at least I knew that if it's our brokerage, the chances of scam are pretty much zero. So with that intention, I went to Dubai, spent there 2.5 months. We were to plan that out, and we had some few meetings. And as part of that process, somebody told me, why don't you speak to this guy? This guy has recently started his own brokerage. He may be able to help you in terms of what, expertise you're looking for in terms of the services, especially with the LP side of things. So I said, okay, fine. And that is how I got introduced to Mr. Chris Trikomitis, who is the founder of Monaxa. And we started talking. The initial discussions were not about Monaxa at all. The initial discussions was how he could help me with setting up of my brokerage kind of thing. And the main back office operations that we were focusing on is risk management, is about fulfillment of trades with the liquidity providers and how that will be handled, etc. And as we exchanged as the conversations went on over the course of a few weeks, I realized that this is the person who is coming across very authentic, very transparent, and he's not sugarcoating things. And that is something that really kind of attracted me towards him, if I put it that way. So I decided, okay, let me do it this way. It came to a point where I told him, you know what, Chris, forget about starting a new brokerage, because starting a new brokerage also is not a cakewalk, to get the appropriate licenses, not only from meta codes, but to get the proper licenses in place and then to set up the payment providers with crypto, with bank transfers, etc. It's a long run process. You're talking about at least good few months to get it all in place, right? So I'm like, okay, fair enough. Let's put that aside. I'll start with you on Monaxa. Let me see how it goes. So I started cautiously, obviously, based on my past experience, and it was a good start in terms of the user experience on Monaxa. And I told about it to a few of my immediate close leaders that I used to work with regularly. And we started off slowly, but we were cautious. We didn't went all out promoting. And we liked what we saw. It came to a point where, and Chris being very helpful, he was always accessible. And, he introduced me to the risk management team as well, who sits in Cyprus. And we got talking about, the A books and B books, etc. And Chris was very honest. He said, look, we do both A book and B book. He wasn't like, oh, we don't touch, we are not B book. He was very clear. There is no brokerage in the world only does A book. If any brokerage says so, they are lying. It's as simple as that. No brokerage can operate only on A book. They can never survive just on A book. So then it came to a point where, because of a past experience, I wanted to be double sure that this is the place that we could totally rely on. So we decided to make a trip to Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur. That's where the head office was last year. And we went there. We met Chris in person for the first time. He introduced us to the entire back office team, which included the sales team, customer service, IT. They were all there. We spent about 3 or 4 days over there. I took some of my key leaders with us. We checked everything in person, and we were literally very, very happy. The only team we didn't meet was the risk management, as they sit in Cyprus, but Chris again introduced me to them. I've got direct access to them, and I know if I have any questions about any sort of trading issues, I normally reach out to them, and I get pretty much prompt answer within few hours, basically. Now, so that's how the level of transparency was shown. Now, coming to Chris himself, now he's not the person who has been propped up like, when you have seen some MLM gigs before, the CEO has come up from nowhere, you know, he's been put in the front, to promote the project. And once the project has come, he's disappeared. This person is not belonging to that category. He has got 19 years of Forex experience. He has worked in top brokerages like Exness, Pepperstone, FX Primus. You may have heard of some of these brokerages, if not all. All these brokerages have been running at least minimum for the last 10 years, if not more. On the personal level, he is originally half Brit, half Greek, but he's based in Thailand. He's got his own family. He's got his wife and 2 kids, and he's fully visible to anybody. There are quite a few leaders from within my wider network who have actually also met him in person, separate to my visit. And he's also done some Zooms with few of the leaders over here who are in this presentation today. So he's not someone who is hiding behind the operations. And perhaps this is the first time, if you talk about Forex brokerage, this is the first time the founder himself has made himself publicly accessible. If you talk about brokerages like Exness, Pepperstone, IC Markets as an example, you normally don't know who the founder is, so you never get to that level of access. The maximum access you get from most brokerages is account managers. Here, the CEO himself has made himself available. So that's the level of transparency you are getting in Monaxa. He also got a LinkedIn profile. I think it opens somewhere there. Yeah, so over here. So that's his LinkedIn profile. If I go back, so, yeah. So that's his LinkedIn profile. Anybody could go on LinkedIn and find him, and he would be there. He's got over 19K followers following him. So as I've told you, he's pretty well known within the Forex space. He's not a random CEO that has just popped up. And if you scroll down, he's got his work history over here. He's worked as an established markets director in Exness. He's worked in FX Primus. He's worked in Thomson Reuters. So all the big companies you talk about, he's there basically. You can see his public profile. And if you wish, you can even go further and do your checks about his past companies. Absolutely not a problem at all. So that's regarding the founder himself. Coming to the brokerage, it's now in terms of regulations. Now, initially last year, when I started with Monaxa, they were ASIC regulated, but they didn't have that independent license. Now, Monaxa was started about 3 years ago, back in 2021, they started. Now, when they started, they had a partnership with an Australian-based forex brokerage. I forgot the name. It's sort of, I think it was Haymarkets, if I'm not wrong. But I need to clarify that with Chris. But anyway, so Monex has started as an arm of that brokerage, if I put it that way, because they wanted to create a brand within the Far East market, but completely different brand, if I put it that way, more funky brand, if I put it that way. That's how Monexa was born. And because Monexa was affiliated to this Australian broker, this Australian broker has been in business in Australia for quite a few years, and that's how Monexa got like an ASIC license through that partnership. Normally, if you talk about a new brokerage, normally you don't get ASIC license right away. Okay. So Monexa had that ASIC license, but technically not an independent license. It was more like a representative license, if I put it that way. So they had that license, and but they came out of that license at the start of this year. They are no more ASIC regulated because they broke away from that brokerage that I was talking about, and they are fully independent brokerage now. Now, this is why they went ahead and registered with FSC Mauritius. If you on its homepage itself, if you go to the footer, you will see the FSC Mauritius license number. And if you go on this link, which is the FSC Mauritius website, again, let me just see if I could show it over here. Okay. So this is the FSC Mauritius website, and you can see Monexa details out here if you just click on that link. Now, FSC Mauritius, for people who don't know, is also considered like a tier 1 regulator. Okay, this is not a random regulator. This is a tier 1 regulator. Yeah, sure, I can put that link in the chat. Bear with me. So that is a link. And so now Mauritius is a tier 1 regulator, and they also have got another license, which is the Anguilla license. Now, Anguilla is not a proper, it's an offshore license, so it's not a proper license, it's a legal opinion. Now, why they had to go for Anguilla? Now, if you talk about tier 1 regulators, like for example, ASIC or FSC Mauritius or FCA UK or FSB in South Africa, the maximum leverage they offer is not more than 30, 50, maximum 100. In some cases, I don't think no regulator offers even 100 for that matter, right? So the leverages that you're seeing now when you create an account, 500 leverage, 1,000 leverage, 2,000 on a self-trading account, that is possible because they have got an offshore license from Anguilla. If they were only FSC Mauritius regulated, as per FSC Mauritius, the maximum leverage they allow is 50. So this is the reason why they went for an offshore license. So I know somebody messaged me today about an article where they, from a paid article basically, forgot the name, Trading or some website, and they were saying, "Oh, Monex is a fraud. They were ASIC stuff and blah blah blah." So just what, get the people on the Zoom, and this is the information they need to see, right? Also like to say when you go to such websites, which is like WikiFX, a clear example, or this other website, Trading or whatever, right? These are paid websites if you don't know. Okay, when I say paid websites, if any Forex brokerage pays them like a monthly subscription, they will write glowing reviews about the brokerage. If the Forex brokerage does not pay them a monthly subscription, they will always give them a low rating. That's the business. That's how these sites work. So kindly do not go on WikiFX or this other website, and I'm not talking in general about Monexa. For that matter, any brokerage you go with, do not rely on these websites for any opinions because these are paid websites. Just an FYI if you don't know about it. Okay. So this is regarding the regulations for Monexa. So I hope this becomes clear for all of you moving forward. Now, what is more important is now this is the key, and this is the key section of this Zoom. Is most of you, I believe, do not have a clear understanding of how brokers make money. And I just wanted to spend some time explaining how it all works, what is the difference between A book and B book, how this opportunity is more sustainable, etc., etc. So when you open your MT4 or MT5 app, this is the normal screen. If you go to open a trade, this is the screen you see. Let me increase the zoom. So when you see, for example, a gold, you see a number. Now, don't worry about this number 124. It's too high because on weekend, I've just taken a screenshot today actually. So on the weekend, the spreads are kept high with the liquidity providers, but this normally comes to between 25 to 35 for gold. So don't provide this number. This is just for demonstration purpose. But what I wanted to show you was the number that you see here, 124, over here 48, over here 27. This is the spread, okay? And the spread is the difference between the sell price and the buy price for that instrument, okay? Now, this is the total commission that is being charged on a trade when you undertake a trade. Now, how does this work? Let me show you an example on how a book works. Okay. We are the retail trader. When I say retail trader, because we start with low money, we're not institutional traders putting millions of dollars in, right? We put $500, $1,000, $10,000. We are classed as retail traders in Forex space. Now, when we take a trade, or for that matter, when we follow a trader and that trader takes a trade, there are two options, there are two possibilities. The trade will make a profit or the trade will make a loss. One of them, right? Now, on a book, whether the trade ends up in a profit or a loss, Monexa passes a flow to the liquidity provider. So it comes to Monexa and Monexa sends it to the liquidity provider. Okay. If the trade is a profit, the liquidity provider pays the profit to the retail trader. If the trade ends up in a loss, whatever losses happened, the liquidity provider keeps that loss. So for example, if I start with $1,000, if I make 1% on that, $10, I get paid $10 from the liquidity provider via Monexa into my account on my MT5. If I make $200 loss, that $200 loss goes straight to the liquidity provider. So that's how they make money as well. Now, what the liquidity provider also makes is where did it go? Is the spread from here, right? Because that is their fee that they charge to provide this pricing feed to Monexa. This is nothing but a pricing feed, okay? So from that markup of that figure, the liquidity provider pays Monexa its share. Now, what that share is, obviously Monexa wouldn't reveal it, but there is some share in that, right? From that share, Monexa pays the IB rebates to the IBs who have introduced that retail trader. So the commissions that they make, the IBs, come from the spreads that are being charged on each and every trade. The IBs don't make commissions from the deposit that is made by the retail trader. This is what makes this brokerage system, not this in Forex, in general, talking about Forex, this is what it makes sustainable, the commissions that you make in Forex, unlike the MLM part, the MLM gigs, because in MLM gigs, whatever you have made till date was based on the deposits that your referrals used to put in. Here, you are not getting paid from the deposits, you're getting paid from the spreads, from the commission that the liquidity provider pays to the broker, and broker pays from his own share to the IBs or the person who introduced the retail trader. This is how a book works. I'm not sure what's there in the chart. Okay, I'll explain that later. Now coming to B book, how B book works. So on B book, the retail trader takes the trade. Again, the trade can be a profit or a loss. In this case, Monaxa can decide to keep the entire loss or absorb the entire loss himself. So that becomes a P&L for Monaxa, is their profit in a way. Or if the trade makes a profit, Monaxa may decide to pay the trader a profit from his own books rather than sending it to liquidity provider. So the liquidity provider does not have to pay profit if the trade is a profit, or the liquidity provider does not get the chance to absorb the loss if the trade is a loss. Everything's done by Monaxa. What the liquidity provider makes is only the spread over here. And again, from this spread, a liquidity provider pays Monaxa their share of spread, and Monaxa pays IB their share of spread, even though it's B book. So that's how the flow works. And this is where, now that you have understood the difference between A book and B book, this is where most of the scammy brokers end up scamming, right? We may have, all of us may have come across brokers who may have registered in offshore like St. Vincent, etc. And eventually, we used to follow some trader, either the trader used to make losses or the broker you have scammed, etc. The reason why brokers used to scam is because this is the key element over here, the balancing of A book and B book. If a broker ends up being greedy and tries to do everything on B book, there is high chances that the broker will never last for a long time because they don't have enough money to pay the profits. Okay, this is why brokers usually scam. On A book, if the broker trusts for liquidity provider, the chances of losses are less. And this is where, the balancing act becomes very crucial. This is where the risk management team who deals with this plays a very important role. Every single day, when thousands and thousands of trades are executed on Monexa, the risk management team decides which trades to A book, which trades to B book, so that the balance of flow is correctly maintained, not overpowering them in a way. For example, Dan is a trader, he's doing consistently well and his volume is consistently growing up every single day, right? So let's say he's doing 2%, 3% every day. Right now, I think he's getting close to $1 million of volume following him, if not more, right? Now, if Monexa decides that his trades should be A-book, which to be honest, Chris has already confirmed that all Dan's trades are getting A-booked, so all Monexa has to do is pass the flow to the liquidity provider. So whether it's $1 million, $2 million, $10 million, it will just flow to liquidity provider. And also, by the way, coming to liquidity provider, Monexa does not have just one liquidity provider, they have got six. And Chris just confirmed they are also getting a seventh one, which is starting on Monday. If anybody questions who are those liquidity providers, unfortunately, I know only one or two of them, but I can't even reveal those names because Chris has mentioned they have signed NDA with the liquidity providers. Because technically within the MLM world, if you reveal too much, then what happens? People go and call those liquidity providers, oh, is Monexa with you, blah, blah, blah. They deal with B2B stuff. They don't need such calls. So Chris can't reveal the liquidity provider names, but all I can say is they have got, as of today, they have got six, but there is a seventh one that is also going to be activated next week. So coming to Dan, when he takes a trade, right? Right now, let's say he's got about 200 odd people, 300 odd people. As the number of people grow or as the volume grows, and if he makes 2%, let's say 2% right now works to 100,000. After a couple of weeks, it may that the same 2% may turn into $500,000 of profit. So what Monexa is doing is when he completes the trade, they pass the flow not to one liquidity provider, but they split it to at least two or three liquidity providers. So right now we've got about 200 odd people on the Zoom, and let's say all of us assuming are following Dan. So if Dan on Monday makes profit of 2% or 3%, let's say 30 of us may be directed to liquidity provider number one. 40 of us may be direct to liquidity provider too, and so on and so forth. So that's how they ensure that the flow is correctly diverted to ensure the liquidity providers are not overwhelmed with the money that they have to pay in profits to us. And coming back to another question, if you may have, what happens when the money just grows and grows and grows, right? It goes into $40 million, $50 million, whatever, right? The simple answer is liquidity never dries up in Forex. Simple reason and a very honest reason, because 70 to 75% of traders never win in Forex. They always end up losing. I say 75%. Hardly 10 to 15% end up making good profits consistently. And I count Dan in one of those 10 to 15% traders who consistently makes good profits, right? So assuming if Dan continues the way he is, or for that matter, any trader continues making good profits, and if the volume grows up, Monaxa will simply add more liquidity providers to ensure the flow never stops. It's as simple as that. So I hope this gives you a very clear picture as to why this opportunity is sustainable. So even if there are 200 of us, and let's say each one of us ends up making $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a day in just IB rebates, this opportunity will still be sustainable for the long run. Okay. Now, before I go to the back office, one of the point I just like to cover, going back to Chris. Obviously, Chris is the face of Monaxa. Some of you may question what happens if, let's say, God forbid, tomorrow he's, something wrong happens to him on his personal front, health-wise, family emergency, etc. Simple answer is the show will still go on. If you talk about other brokerages like IC Markets, XNES, Pepperstone, if their founder dies, as an example, will they stop? No, the brokerage will still keep on running. I've already had this discussion with Chris about, the plans that he has in place, and he assured that there are plans that are put in place to ensure that Monaxa continues to grow, even in the worst situation if something terribly goes wrong with him. Basically, they've got a strong team in place, and they're getting more people on board to continue growing Monaxa and the way it should, basically. So that's regarding the A book and B book, and I hope this gives you a good understanding of how Forex industry works. I'll just quickly check my chat. Okay, that's fine. Now, coming to the back office walkthrough. Now, what I'm going to do is I will run through the back office quickly. I'm not going to spend too much time showing you every single detail for the back office, but just a generic view. I plan to do a separate tutorial, especially for how to copy a master, because I know some people struggle for the first time. So in my own way, I will try to do a tutorial to make it as simple as possible. I plan to spend some time tomorrow on it, hopefully. So if I do that tomorrow, I'll make sure I'll share the tutorial in the wider groups. But for now, I'll just give you a back office walkthrough, but just to let you know, this is not my account because obviously, for reasons personal to me, I don't want to reveal how much I'm making, as you can appreciate, but I've taken my cousin's account to show you. So just bear with me and I'll show you her account. Give me a minute. When you start your account, the first thing you should do is your verification. So when you log in, you can go to self verification and get your KYC done. If you want to create an account of your own for self-trading, you can go and create an account over here. You can select either from MT5 or MT4. You've got standards, and 0 is nothing but your ECN account. So you can choose either one. This is for self-trading purpose, by the way. Okay. The My Banking options to deposit funds to a specific account, withdraw funds, transfer funds from, for example, if you want to transfer from one account to another, you can use the transfer funds options. Also, this is very important. First time when you sign up, or shall I say, before you do your first withdrawal, you have to click on payment details. I don't want to go over here because it will reveal the wallet address, so I can't show the screen. But you have to click on the payment details, give your wallet address where you want to have your withdrawal, and you also have to attach a screenshot of your wallet address. The back office team, they ensure that the wallet in your screenshot matches to the wallet address that you have entered. They will verify and approve your wallet, and that wallet will be saved. And this is only a one-time process. So if you try to attempt first withdrawal, and if you don't do this, your withdrawal will be rejected. So don't panic if you see a withdrawal rejection because you've forgotten this step. Okay, so make sure this step is done as soon as you create your account so that you don't have withdrawal issues when you try to withdraw the first time. Coming to IB dashboard. So just to give you an idea, okay, my cousin made about $700. That's the total balance, 392,000 volume. And this is exactly what I mean, okay? That you don't need a big volume to make big money in IBs, okay? I'll come to IB calculation shortly, but just to clarify, most leaders, especially coming from MLM space, highly underestimate the potential in IBs. Okay, very highly. Okay. And this is a clear-cut example of how lucrative IB rebates can be. Just on under 400K volume, someone can make $700, even $1,000, even $2,000 for that matter. How it all works, I'll come to that shortly. Okay, but this is the IB dashboard. Uh, when you start your Monaxa account, and also, by the way, you can, if I go on, just bear with me. If I go here in detailed commission breakdown, it shows the commissions that are made for each trade, basically, and how much you're making, etc., etc., etc. You can see over here. Here on marketing tools, if you know the links, you get your IB link. But before you get this, when you register for Monaxa for the first time, you get an option here, request for partnership. You need to click that, confirm, and then you see this option, marketing links. So you get your IB link over here. And here is your copywriting. For example, if you want to copy Dan as an example, you will click on copy a strategy and you will click here. You will again, I'll do proper tutorial tomorrow, but I'm just showing you very quickly. IQ, click on IQ solutions 75 and you follow the process. And copy strategy is it will show you list of all the providers that you're following. For example, here, my cousin had followed quite a few providers, followed, etc. That's why there's a huge list. But here you see the list of all the traders that you follow, basically. And yes, this is another product that I'll talk about shortly, Academus. But coming to copy trading first, okay? What I want to tell you is do not promote this as a daily guaranteed profit opportunity, okay? Otherwise, you will shoot yourself in the foot, okay? Because the reality is no trader makes profits on daily basis, okay? Every trader will have a losing day or a losing week. It is a given, okay? What is important, what I tell my network is don't look at the daily performance, look at the monthly performance, okay? As far as you make 10%, for that matter, even 5% a month on occasions, right? Even 5% is good. 10% in Forex is really good. Anything over that is damn good. Okay. So don't have that mentality of everyday 2%, 3%. It is fortunate that Dan is having a very golden run, if I put it that way, even by his own admission. But don't be surprised if he ends up having a losing week as well, right? That can happen. But what is important to know is, you know, uh, people should understand that in Forex, profits and losses are part and parcel of the game, basically. It can happen. Ever since I started Monexa, believe me, in the last 8 to 9 months, I have lost over $10,000 trying different traders. Okay. And no jokes. Okay. So this, but I've made money, I've made profits as well, especially now with Dan, I'm making good profits in my own trading too. But I've made losses because copy trading is a self-discovering journey. You may try 10 different traders, each with on its own risk management, each with different styles of trading. You may not fancy higher drawdown, you may fancy higher drawdown. It's down to each individual's risk appetite. And then once you identify the trader, by that time, you may have, spent some money in losses, if I put it that way, trying to discover which trader is good for you. It can happen. And we don't encourage, I don't encourage, especially to follow the crowd. Just because I'm following a trader, you should also follow that trader. No, because my risk appetite may be different than yours. For example, if I follow a trader who is taking higher lots, which means drawdown could go to 30, 40%, and I'm okay with it, but I cannot say just because I'm making profit there, you should also follow the same trader, because guess what? But if the drawdown goes to over 10, 15%, you may enter panic mode and I may not, right? So every person has his own risk appetite. Okay. So make sure that when you promote this opportunity, you make that person aware about the risk and the rewards. Okay. Dan, no doubt, is a rock solid trader. I will 100% say that when you get somebody on board, make him start with Dan as the first trader. Okay. There are other traders that my team is also following, but I have not shared it with anybody, especially within Dan's network, because I want everybody within Dan's network to first have a good, positive experience seeing profits from his trading. Okay. And once people are settled, maybe towards the end of this year or next year, sorry, no, not start of January, I mean, we will start sharing the other traders after I get Dan and Bob to review those traders. Okay, because ultimately it's their network. I don't want to directly inform you guys about those new traders without their knowledge or without their approval. Okay, because that's the right thing to do. So that is what the plan is, to get people to diversify across 3 to 4 traders, at least, if not more, because even if one trader or two traders end up having a losing day or a losing week, while the other two are having a good day, you will end up overall in a net positive portfolio, and that's the plan. And the more people diversify, obviously, the more lots are traded, the more IB rebates are also made. So that's how things work within the forex space. Now, coming to Monexa, other stuff about Monexa. Now, sorry, before going further, how to build the IB career. Now, IB stands for Introducing Broker. Okay. Now, here, one option is you can recommend network to follow copy traders like Dan, who is already trading. Some of you know Dan directly, and some of you don't. So you just take word of mouth from somebody else who knows Dan, and you just follow Dan as a trader. Fine, that's one option you can build. Second option, you can invite traders, if you know good traders in your knowledge who are really, really good, get them to start on Monex under you, right? And once you get them to start copy master, if they're really good, you get your network to follow that trader as well, because guess what? If you know that trader personally, you may have more confidence in that trader to promote to your network, right? And if that trader turns out really good, guess what? Even I'll get my network to follow that trader eventually, right? And everybody, we work as a team, basically, right? And that's the end goal over here. Identify as many good traders as possible for diversification. Okay, that's the game over here. And the third option is, you don't even need people to do copy trading. If you know people who like to self trade, get them under you. And as when they trade, you'll make high Bs. Trading is like a drug addiction, if I put it that way, because people who know to trade, who love to self trade, they will trade daily. I trade daily, even if sometimes I don't feel like trading, I still feel some vacuum, some void. Oh my God, or like, sense of what do you say, or that itchiness, or why am I not trading, right? It is that sort of a thing. So actually, self traders end up making more IBs because every time they end up trading. So that is another way to build your IB career, not only just because you follow Dan. And this is one thing I would always say, and I've learned this from my past experience as well. Never ever build your IB career based on one trader. No matter how good the trader is, you have to diversify. And the key point for successful IB career is the capital of your people needs to be protected. Okay, because if they lose capital, they're not coming back, or they will lose confidence in your recommendation. It is as simple as that, right? So the capital of your people needs to be protected. So you, as introducing broker to them, or your net or your upline to them, should recommend or should take accountability or responsibility to only promote traders where you feel that the trader is good enough, right? Yes, the traders, you can only recommend based upon the performance you see. And after that, if the trader ends up having a loss, fine, there's nothing can be done about it. Recently, just this week itself, we had one trader who made a loss. But guess what? I'm quite empathetic towards traders who are offering copy trading service, right? Because no matter how, sorry, just 1 second. Yeah, okay. So I'm quite empathetic towards traders who, especially traders who trade responsibly. And I'll tell you why, even if they make losses, okay? And I'll tell you why. I trade, as I mentioned, I do self-trading. But there was just a few months ago, I thought, you know what, let me start Copymaster as well. And I started Copymaster. I didn't tell too many people. I only got 3 or 4 people, very close people to me. And I did 2 weeks of trading, and then I showed them. They said, yeah, you know what, we'll put money in with you. That's fine. And they put some money, not much, some money, $300, $400. And I started Copymaster. And then you know what? Every time I traded, psychologically, I felt the pressure with that back of my mind that somebody else has put money on my trading, right? It's a different ball game altogether, mentally, psychologically, right? Trading for yourself is completely different than being a copy trader. And when people like us, including me, you, everybody, when a trader makes a loss and you say, oh man, he should have closed at this point. Why did he went for a big drawdown? Why didn't he close at that point? Why did he ended up making such a loss? Etc. It's easy to say such things. Believe me, it's way easy to say such things, but try to put yourself in the shoes of the trader. Believe me, it's a very, very hard work. So do not blame the trader if the trader has made a loss, especially if the trader is trading responsibly. You can easily suss out if the trader is trading responsibly or not responsibly. If the trader is using high lots, constantly opening trades, randomly making losses, and still keeping high lots, playing high lots, he's trading responsibly. But if the trader is using very low lots, recovering, making profits, but then ends up in a slight loss or a more than expected loss, you feel for the trader because he's trying to do the right thing by trading responsibly. But sometimes, shit happens. Unfortunately, the market decides the market is the king, and every trader has a good face and every trader has a bad face, which is why I say look at the monthly performance. Don't go by a daily or a weekly performance. So just make sure when you promote this opportunity, promote it as it is, black and white, without giving a rosy picture and saying it's a daily profit guaranteed gig. No, it's not. But 10 to 15% a month is achievable, and the potential here is huge. Okay, so that's all I like to say over here. That's yeah. Can you blow accounts to copy trading? Copy trading, yes, the accounts can be blown. To be perfectly honest, it depends upon the trader whom you're following. I'm not saying about Dan. Dan is very responsible trader. Because let me put it this way. Dan himself has got a huge network who has put money in over here. So he's not stupid to blow up that money, right? There are other traders as well who may end up trading the very, very with high drawdown, may end up in losses. I personally have my accounts blown up in the past. Why would I lie? I'll be honest. Yes, my accounts have been blown up in the past. So this is the risk that comes in trading, and you just have to be open to it, and in the sense that you just have to be careful when you select a copy trader. The other thing I like to say is most people say, oh, what's the past performance of a trader? Can we see the MyFX book, etc.? I respect individual choices. I'm only sharing my own experience. Uh, I don't believe in past performance. I believe in the current performance. So what I do with my team, if I like a trader, especially nowadays, I've changed my approach. If I like a trader nowadays, if the trader is good, either I put my money in, or if I find somebody who has already put his money in, I try to get investor password of that person, or I share my investor password, and I tell my network, this is the investor password, monitor the account for however long you want and decide for yourself, right? Because there is nothing better than watching the current performance and deciding whether the trader is good or not rather than past performance. I'll tell you an incident. We had a very good trader on Monaxa. He's still trading. He had 4 years of verifiable my FX book history. 4 years, okay, from XNES. On XNES, he did over 1500%, okay, and on Monex 7, he started last November till June, he did about 150%, okay. Obviously, most of my team followed him, including myself, but 1.5 months ago when that Black Monday event happened, if you guys remember, when there was a huge sell-off, over $1 billion of sell-off in stocks, trades, everything, that trader lost over 50%, 50% in one day. Okay. Would you have imagined looking at that MyFX book of 4 years and 157 months of history on Monexa that the same person would have lost 50%? This is what I mean. Past performance, to me at least, is nothing, means absolutely nothing. What I look for is the current performance, because whether the trader is in form, not form, you can easily judge based on the current performance. Look at the current performance and decide whether you can take your time, week, 1, 2 months, however long, but look at the current performance. Past performance means nothing to me. Okay. So that's what I like to say. Now, I'll come to the IB calculation in a bit, but before wrapping up about Monexa, now, the reason why Monexa was started by Chris is because he wanted to do things differently that is not done by any other broker, starting with IBs. Okay. Now, when we talk about IBs in traditional space, in traditional terms, IBs in Forex, if you go with any brokerage like IC Markets, Pepperstone, etc., the way IBs work is, let's say on gold, you get $12 a lot or $13 a lot, for example, right? Let's say I'm that person who approached IC Markets and they gave me $12 a lot. Then I sign up somebody under me. So I get the chance to decide how much I want to keep, whether I want to keep $1, $2. I say, okay, I want to keep $2, which leaves me with $10. So I pass the $10 to my person below me. Then that person sends somebody else. He decides, okay, I want to keep $3. So he keeps $3, then $7 gets passed to that person below him, and so on and so forth. So the disadvantage of that model is there comes a point at some levels below where the person does not have enough money to pass it forward. So he can't even refer people, right? So when I started Monexa, I realized this is not the model I wanted. I spoke to Chris. Look, because I came from an MLM background, so I knew how Unilevel worked. So I spoke to Chris. I explained to him, this is what I want in Unilevel. Can this be done? And because Monexa was built from scratch and not like third-party plugins and like other brokerages, they have got an in-house IT team which made the site from scratch, most of it. They were able to customize it. That's why we've got a Unilevel plan across 6 levels, $15 a lot. So any person who comes in at any level gets an equal opportunity to make $15 a lot. And that is the USP from an IB's perspective on Monexa, which you will not find on other brokerages. And as I have shown you, the earning potential of that account, $700 in a day with just under 400K volume based on $15 a lot, you can imagine the potential, right? So that is and I've explained to you about how A book and B book works and why the IB rebates are sustainable, no matter how much each one of us earns, should tell you sky's the limit over here. Okay. Coming to Again, why Monaxa was started, because Chris wanted to do things differently. So some of the other innovations that are coming up in Monaxa is coming up with the prop firms like FTMO, you may have heard of, so you can, so if you want, if any traders are in here who like to do prop firm trading, you can, get a prop firm challenge, pass it. If you pass it, you'll have a funded account, and you will also get commissions from people below you who sign up for platform accounts. Basically, it'll be a one-time commission, but there will be some commission. I don't know what that commission is yet, but Chris mentioned there will be some commission involved. So that's one. PAM is also coming. Now, PAM will be similar to copy trading, but on an institutional level, right? So uh, the difference between copy trading and PAM is, in copy trading, we all hold our individual accounts, but the trader cannot see the total capital by that is following his provider. For example, Dan does not even know the total capital following him. He just sees the profit split that he gets. In PAM, he could see the total capital being followed, and he could place the lot size according to the total capital. But we still will have control of our individual accounts, but PAM is mainly reserved for high net worth investors, not for retail investors like $100, $200. No, it's mainly for people who want to put 50,000, $100,000 and those ones basically. Monex is also going to come up with an app soon. So we would have an app to log into accounts, etc. Monex is also planning to have something called as Monexa Talk. So there will be like a social interactive chat rooms where there would be different sections of chat room, like just like Discord or Telegram, you have different categories. So you can have different chat room options there. This is something in line for next year. There will be Monexa Arena, so there will be some trading competitions, and people who win that competition will get some prizes. I don't know what those prizes are, but this is something in pipeline that will come into next year. Monexa Prime. So Monexa themselves are planning to start their own liquidity service. So they will become their own liquidity provider in addition to the liquidity providers that they already have. For example, XNES themselves, they're liquidity providers nowadays. So Monix is also planning on those lines. And the back office that I just showed you will have complete overhaul in the coming months, where different tools will be available for IB, such as online banners, landing page templates. For example, each one of us can customize our own landing page to market to attract people. And we also have options where you can download the merchandise designs to print, etc., for the marketing purposes. So these all options are going to be there on Monexa. I'm just conscious of time. I'm just going to quickly do the last section around the IBs on how IBs work. And then I'll quickly take maybe 5 to 10 minutes of your time to answer any queries, and we'll end the session. So just bear with me. Let me open an Excel file. Okay. So just wanted to make sure, can you guys see my Excel sheet? If you can just put your hands up on the chart. Okay, perfect. So yeah, okay, fine. So now how the IBs work now, unlike MLM model, okay, where your commissions were dependent just on the deposits. Okay, IBs are a different ball game. IBs do not depend just on the deposit value, but also depends upon the lots that get traded, as I've just shown you in one of the backend example before, right? Now these are the IB splits per level, and one lot on gold is considered equivalent to $10,000. Okay, in Forex, just to let you know. The total lots traded is made up of the number of trades taken in a day multiplied by the lots taken per trade. So 30 multiplied by 0.1 is 3. I've taken 0.1 as an example because, Dan sometimes trade 0.01, etc. Right? So I've just taken it as a rough example. So let me change this to make it small, simpler. 4, 8, let's say, goes. Oh, let me start. Now, okay. So let's say you've just got one person who has put in $1,000, okay, and 3 lots are traded every single day, as an example, on $1,000, you will end up making $24 a month. Okay. Now this on paper looks very, very small. Why? Because you've only got $1,000. Okay. But here is the thing. Okay. If I just change this to 350 trades as an example, and you see that number change. Okay, $280 in a month. So the point I'm trying to make is the IBs that you make does not depend upon the deposit volume alone, because here you've not added volume. You've only got $1,000, but more trades were taken on the same $1,000, which is why your IBs kept increasing. Okay, and this is exactly the point that I mentioned before, that diversification is the key. Number one, you are delimiting, or sorry, limiting the risk of exposure by diversifying the capital of your people below you. And the more they diversify, the more trades happen and the more IBs you will make. So this is the key that you have to understand. Now, obviously, it's mathematically it's difficult to work out the IB calculations for every single time, because as I showed you in the back office, the IBs are paid in pennies, etc., etc. And you just have to, what do you say? You just have to look at the total IB wallet figure, because that will just keep on increasing. And believe me, a day will come where you will end up making, every time you refresh your screen every few minutes, your IBs will just keep going up. Now, for here is an example, let me put it back to 30. And let's say you have 10 people over here, 25 here, 40 here. Your levels keep increasing as more people come in. So just on 3 lots a day, your IBs end up making, $3,000 in a month. But this is, I'm quoting a very, very, very conservative figure, right? As I've shown you, that account made $700 in one day. And if you multiply that by 5, that's 3,500 times 4, $14,000 in a month, right? Based on just in the 400K volume. So that's the potential of IBs over here. So I hope with this, I conclude my presentation. I hope I've been able to answer or clarify or give you a full realistic picture of why Monaxa as a brokerage is legitimate, why it is sustainable, why it should be here for many years to come. Uh, I would still advise you to do your own due diligence. But from my side, based on my own experience, I have shared the best possible information I could. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll just quickly check in the chat. Uh, any questions, please feel free to ask before we close the session. Okay, no, no. Uh, is a minimum deposit of $1,000 falls within threshold? Yeah, so if some case asks if the minimum deposit of $1,000 falls below the $1,000 threshold, will it still trade on Dan? Now, here's the thing I'd like to mention. If you start with $1,000 and let's say Dan ends up having a loss and your balance becomes less than $1,000, let's say $900, $800, whatever, it will still pick up in trading for sure. But if let's say if your balance is 1,020, whatever, profit is deducted, and you withdraw your profits, which makes your balance go just under 1,000, okay, which is let's say 990, 980, 940, whatever. Okay, because you've withdrawn the money. In that case, I think, I'm not certain because I've not come across that situation before, but I think in that case, the trades may not get picked up. So it's just to be safe, you just top up that extra money to reach 1,000. But if there's a trading loss, which has resulted in your balance going below 1,000, the trades will get picked up for sure. And when is Monexa going to make crypto debit cards available for withdrawal? Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that. That is also in the pipeline. That will come in the next, I think, first quarter of 2025. By the way. Oh, one more thing I forgot to show you, which was Academus. Sorry. one last thing before I forgot. I told I will show you, but completely forgot. Bear with me. Once it logs in. Okay. Now, one other innovative product about Monaxa is this Academics, which is education arm, which is like a forex education for people. Now, this is like a marketplace where you can find good in, for example, this is a promising indicator. You can subscribe to $25 a month. This is a single service for $10 a month, etc. There are some courses over here. This one, according to me, is by far the best so far for $150. Now, how Academics works, and this is brilliant, okay? When people buy an academic course for $150, Monexa instantly credits $100 back to the member in his trading account. That $100 is real money. You can withdraw that money, or you can put it to copy trade, or you can self trade. The idea is the $100 given back for people to utilize that to trade or to copy trade while they learn forex. Okay, so the net investment is only $50, but based on this 150 from the remaining $50, Monexa also pays commission on the same 6th level. So here I think I've got thing here. Bear with me. Monexa Academy. Yeah. So this is the commission structure. So you make $10 on level one, $4 on level two, and so on and so forth. So you make commissions on both sides as a networker. For example, if there is somebody who doesn't know Forex, you can bring him via the academic's route. You make $10. If that person buys $150, he gets that $100 back. And let's say he decides to top up more money and put on Dan for $900 more, he puts on Dan, you make the IBs on that person as well. So this is like an additional revenue for you in terms of the commissions, basically. So people normally don't look at this, or skip this, I would say, but this is a very, very good product, especially for people who wish to learn Forex, because this gives them lifetime access to the course material and also lifetime access to the weekly webinar session by the trader who has designed this course material. And and the way I look at it is it's a risk-free approach for people who do not know trading, because let's say they buy $150 course, they get $100 back instantly. The remaining is $50. If they refer 5 people, they make $50 back anyway from level one. So eventually the investment becomes zero. So this is a win-win situation for everybody for to promote this and get people and build a huge community of Forex learners on Academies, basically. So this is what I just wanted to share. And any more questions? How do I increase the lot size in order to compound the account? Well, if you're talking about Dan as an example, because Dan trades 0.01 lot size, so every $1,000, the lot size will double. For example, if your account goes from 1,000 to 1,500, if Dan takes 0.01, you would still take 0.01. If you want to double it lot size, your account balance should go to 2,000, basically. The people at each level, is that meaning the people are signed up in our overall training with Dan? I'm not sure I understood your question, but you have up to 6 levels. So people who sign up under your 6 levels, whoever trader they follow, whether it's Dan or somebody else, you will make IB rebates from them. Can you do IB before your account is activated? Yes, you can. You can refer people before you fund your own account. That's not a problem, provided you have passed your KYC. There's a one-time bonus in back office. That one-time bonus is not for copy trading, it's only for self-trading. So if you want, you can utilize that one-time bonus, but it only applies if you self-trade, but not to copy trade. Is there a monthly fee to use Monexa? No, there is no monthly fee to use Monexa. And do you have Excel program I'm not sure what Excel program you're talking about, James. But if you clarify that, maybe you can reach out to me in DM. I'll be more than happy to help you. When is the next Zoom? To be perfectly honest, I plan to do this once a month because I've got my own family commitments, work commitments, etc. I can't do this every few days. I'll try to do it once every fortnight if people, there is more demand for it, but once a month for sure. So I hope I've clarified everything and I have answered all your questions.